for me, the biggest game changer was that the journey is inside out. I can have all the achievements, everything I want, but that is not going to give me the happiness and success. The journey is always inside out, finding the peace, finding the happiness, finding my why inside, and then going inside out.
Choosing what you want to focus on. Because you're not going to be able to change the world. The world is bigger than you. You live in a society, or let's say you live in a space. For you to live in a space, you need to live in a bigger space because you are a small object living in a space. So you cannot just turn the space upside down. It is bigger than you. It's like you are in a river. The river is a bigger thing than you. If you are in a car, the car is a bigger thing than you. So we need to look for a way to create the balance and make a meaning out of it.
You came into this world with all the self-confidence, all the self-belief, all the self-esteem. You have it all there. That is what I tell all my clients. I'm not giving you anything. You already have it. But then as you grew up, so till the time you are 5 years old, till 5 years old, we are like in a constant state of hypnosis. We are absorbing everything around us. I'm really so happy to be here back with yourself, and thank you for inviting me again. So I work as a medical doctor and a clinical hypnotherapist. So I would say as a medical doctor, which is my profession, clinical hypnotherapist is what I really called to. I would really like to talk about how I came to it. So there was a personal element to it. When I was in the really dark space, post-pregnancy with postnatal depression, trying to find myself, that's when I found rapid transformational therapy, which is a way of moving from the conscious to the subconscious, which is where most of the subconscious blocks lie. Now, if somebody asks me, what are subconscious blocks? So say, if somebody says, oh, I want to be a public speaker, I want to be super confident, I want to do this, but there is this something, like consciously I want to do something, but there's something standing in the way and I don't know what it is and what to do about it. So that's what generally a subconscious block is. So when in deep hypnosis, I help you move from the conscious to the subconscious, we can get hold of what the subconscious block is. Why is it standing in the way of who you want to be, the best version of you, and how we can get past it. So that is what rapid transformational therapy is all about. So first, when I had it, I had a few sessions, about 2 to 3 of them, that really helped me move the blocks out of the way, align with myself. That's where the whole journey began. Then I was like, this is my thing. I really want to train in it. I trained in it. And then it was a completely new journey because it's like, okay, so I'm a trained therapist and I have done a few clients, but the whole deal is, how do people even get to know like who I am, what I do? So I was this person who was really shy to even press play. I'll make a video, but never post it. So from that person, the whole journey towards somebody who loves going online, talking, it's never about preaching. When I go into a video, when I go into a podcast, I always feel like, if there was this one person who read this post or who heard this live or who, came to this podcast with a question and they come out of it thinking, yes, I have moved one step further in my journey. If Ruchi can do it, then so can I. So from the person who was scared to even press play, what will people think? So much has been talked about, already said about self-confidence and self-esteem. Like, why would anybody even listen to me? To this person, I'm going to be a soon-to-be published author. And I am also an international speaker, soon to be speaking in Paris in March and in US in July. Trust me, just about a year back, if you said these things, I would be like, what are you speaking? That's impossible. So that's the gist of it. What your conscious mind feels is impossible for you when you go within. That doesn't mean everybody needs to be a speaker or author. Aligning with what's most important to you, what's your why. So my why is not being a best-selling author, international speaker, because once those things are done, then what? Your why is the motivation that keeps you going. So there's always a means goal and an end goal. So means goals could be anything, RTD sessions, being a best-selling author, being a speaker, but the end goal is helping as many people as I can, getting in touch with the true alignment of who they are, their authentic self, their unique strengths, and what they are meant to be. And generally, the limiting beliefs and subconscious blocks are what stand in the way. So if you were moving towards this diamond with a brilliant shine, there are lots of layers of limiting beliefs, subconscious blocks covering it. So the whole idea of RTT is getting rid of all these layers and getting to the core of it. Does that mean that no obstacles will arise, no challenges will come? No, that's not true. They will still come. But because you're so much aligned to your why, you will keep going. You will have more resilience, and you'll keep going no matter what the challenge. So true self-alignment and true self-awareness.
Thank you so much for that. That's really very interesting. That is also very promising. That we can see a lot of energy there, no? But I'm sort of curious. How did you move from where you could not hit the play button like you were saying before to where you are right now? I mean, could you tell us what are those steps that you need to take for you to be able to move to where you were to where you are now, and also where you're going to be in the future? Help us understand that.
First of all, I would say the one and the most magical ingredient that's already in there is self-belief. So it's really important to reconnect with your self-belief, because what really keeps you away from what you can do, at least what kept me away, was self-doubt. The whole doubt before pressing play. Who's going to listen to me? What have I got to offer? So when I changed that intention, changing the focus from me to the person who I'm out there to help. So before posting that, rather than being so self-focused, I'm thinking, how can I help people? How can I help somebody else take one step further? And in the journey, I realized the two main pillars of self-belief are self-love and self-acceptance. All the lack of self-confidence, all the lack of self-esteem generally comes from both of these things. So when I realized how I can fill up my cup of self-love and self-acceptance, that really helped build up the self-belief. And another thing that I would simply say is, everybody just being in alignment with everybody is featuring into a movie called My Life, right? So nobody is as interested, even if you make a mistake, even if I go live and say something which, or maybe miss a word, the world won't stop. The clock won't stop ticking. The earth won't stop spinning. So what I'm trying to say is we pay far more attention to our own imperfections than anybody else would. All the close relationships in your life are based on these little quirks, these little imperfections that, you connect with other people. If we were all these perfect robots, I don't think we would really make connections. So getting the focus away from yourself and thinking about how can I fill up my buckets of self-love and self-acceptance? I simply started with this exercise. I think I learned from, this was from Lisa Nichols. I was doing a quest on Mind Valley, which is actually where I found rapid transformational therapy and got to know more about it. So the self-love mirror exercise, I think I've previously talked about it as well, but this is my favorite. So if you don't know where to start, you are in a really bad place in your life, you just don't know where to go. Okay, Ruchi, so you're saying you were there and you're here. What do? I don't know what to do. Simply start with when you wake up in the morning, when you stand in front of the mirror, just tell yourself, I love you, your name, truly, deeply, unconditionally. I love and accept all parts of you, and I'm really proud of you. First time when you say this, it might not feel true. It might not feel like, am I really meaning it? Don't give up on it. Do not give up on it. So how you talk to yourself, your inner dialogue is your strength. And if you make that the inner critic, that's your worst enemy. Unfortunately, for most of us growing up, when we were kids, We take on the limiting beliefs of our carers, obviously, even if they had the best interest in mind, what you can do, what you cannot do. So the whole idea is starting with what you can do. Focus on your strengths. I can't do this, and this. Okay, great, amazing, awesome, doesn't matter. But what are your strengths? What is it that you really do well? What you're amazing at? Focus on that. So one is the self-love exercise. Second is celebrating your wins at the end of the day. So say at the end of the day, I don't know, the day was really difficult, but you did this one thing. It doesn't have to be a big win, small wins. Appreciating yourself, celebrating yourself. So starting of the day, self-love mirror exercise, end of the day, celebrating your wins. Start with these two, possibly do that for a few days. Now, see, a whole lot of roadblocks will come. This is not doing anything. Like, is this really going to change something? Keep at it. Keep at it. Then make a proud list. Proud list is simply taking a pen to paper, writing down all the physical, mental, emotional, personal, professional, every challenge that you have overcome in the last 10 years. When I say that, that sounds like a lot. But if you give yourself 10 minutes and you do it, when you read that paper, believe my words, you will feel you are a superhuman. Literally every single person. 10 years is a long time. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You have come a really, really long way. So what happens is when you write it down on paper, it's the prefrontal cortex that comes into play. And this paper, like, this sheet, whatever, 2 paper, 3 paper, keep that handy. Like, for my proud list is right in front of me. That's my vision board and it's sticking on top of that. So whenever self-doubt comes in, I go back and read it. Now, does that mean I have defeated self-doubt forever? No. Let me give you a very recent personal example. So I got this opportunity from, it's called IDIAS. They want me to speak in Paris. It's a big summit. Now, I said yes, amazing. And it's like you say yes to the opportunity and then you deal with self-doubt. I had 3 nights where right at night, I'm not being able to fall asleep thinking, what if I mess up? What if things don't go right? Yes, I have spoken live on podcasts and things, but in like live audience was just, I've done that once. Am I going to be able to do it? Now, the tool is, what do you do here? Do you go down the mental spiral of, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that doesn't work out? Or you go back to the tools of your proud list, the challenges you have overcome. And most importantly, all the firsts you have done. There was always a first for something, from me not being able to press play. I did the first live. I did the first podcast. I did the first speaking event. So there's always this first. So always give your mind this physical proof that you have overcome challenges before and you will overcome challenges again. True self-confidence is not about everything will go my way. It's about making sure that whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it. So that's the gist of it. Anytime I go live, anytime I'm saying something, it's never to preach. Yes, I still have struggles. Yes, self-doubt still creeps in, but I keep my toolkit handy of going back and knowing what to remind myself in that, spiral. Another thing, I was a pretty reactive person when I say, so there's 2 things, being reactive and responding to a situation. Why are these 2 different things? There's a very subtle difference. So reacting is basically something happens and immediately you come up with a reaction. Most often than not, it's not to your best advantage or to the advantage of the other person. Responding is about taking maybe a few seconds to step back and then respond. So when, I don't know, negative thoughts come in, when anxiety strikes in, when you're not having such a great day, it's about having a good bad day. Like, no matter what comes, you keep going. Yes, I still have bad days. No, it's not like I have got completely crazy days. I've got a almost 3-year-old, so every day can look very different. It's about, as I would say it again and again, align with your why. Find your why, because this why is going to keep you going on the difficult days. right? If I just found, yes, this is what I want to be. Yes, I want to be a therapist. I want to be a best-selling author. I want to be an international speaker. Okay, great. Then what? But then aligning with my why do I want to do these things? What is the gist of it? What is the core of it? That I really want to help people to align with the deepest core of them, to align with their unique strengths, and literally, like, think of a life where you are this bright diamond, but you led your whole life covered with layers of limiting beliefs, never really knowing the true magic of who you are. I mean, that would be a wasted life. And anybody who says, oh, that person is a genius, that's not true. We are all geniuses in our own way. We all are. Like, somehow our education system says, I mean, there's a certain way to this. If you do this, yes, then you're a good student, or then you are not a good student. But that's not true. We all are geniuses in our own way. So I really want people to realize that and not waste any energy in comparing yourself to anybody else. This was a big problem for me, big problem. No matter what I achieved, no matter what I did, there was this big hole of I'm not enough. And achievements after achievement, I keep filling up that hole, but that I am not enough never goes. So for me, the biggest game changer was that the journey is inside out. I can have all the achievements, everything I want, but that is not going to give me the happiness and success. The journey is always inside out, finding the peace, finding the happiness, finding my why inside, and then going inside out. So I love this example. I'm a pretty visual person, and I think it will make sense to most people. So I still struggle with that sometimes, but I give myself this visual reminder. So if you think of the sun, yeah, and there are multiple rays come out of it. So if you believe, whatever you believe in, higher self consciousness. So if this is this one consciousness, one higher self, and all the rays coming out of it are like each one of us. We're all so unique in what we have to offer the world, in how we can touch lives. Now, just imagine if all the rays kind of just kept looking at each other. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, that one's so much better than me. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's such a sad life, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, literally, I spent years of my life doing this. And yes, I have some regret about it, but I really want people to align with it. Please do not just to waste your time comparing yourself with anyone else. I came up with this thing. I still want to compare. I just can't give it up. It's like this. So what I do is compare yourself with your previous self. Who you were 6 months back, 5 years back, 10 years back, and then you will understand how far you have come. I think somehow we always give a more weightage to any failure that you had or something that didn't go right. If 10 things went right and one thing didn't go right for you, inevitably we focus on the thing that didn't go right. So moving the focus, do that. And again, I'll come back to the question. So anybody who is listening to it, if they're thinking, okay, Ruchi, all that's great, amazing. I'm stuck in my life. How do I move from here? So let's go point by point. We talked about the self-love mirror exercise. We talked about making the proud list. We talked about celebrating your wins every single day. Make time to reconnect with yourself and finding your why. I think, again, if we come up with a simple exercise, when I say exercises, these things take about 5 to 10 minutes of your time. You don't have to spare hours or something. One thing that really worked for me is the 7 whys. So 7 whys, like, let's say somebody feels I want to be, I don't know, author, speaker, best parent, or whatever it is that you truly feel called to. So you write the second why, and then you answer that. Then you write the third why, fourth. By the time you have dug into the seventh why, you truly understand why do you want it. And then with that why, you focus really on the end goal. And when you focus on the end goal, means goals will align in its own way. So again, that's, for example, I don't know, you need to dig inside yourself. These are answers that you have to find for yourself. Nobody else can find it for you because somebody else's answers might be completely different to you.
All
Yeah.
right. So this digging inside is, I think that is what is where I would like to ask a question there, because before we started to record just now, you talked about I think we call it inner power, no, or finding inner power, finding your inner power, and I think that is really very important now, because we're telling people to find the strength within, the power within, you know. Because it helps us to also understand your story, as you were talking about how you have grown on that, instead of comparing yourself to the outside, which is the outside world or other people, and also looking at the analogy of the sun rays that you have shown, that we should sort of look inward instead of outward. But how do we really do that? I mean, how do we begin to find our inner self? Because if we find our inner self, our life will make more meaning to us. But oftentimes, the masses never do this. We are always comparing ourselves to the next shiny object. So help me with that.
Yes. So what you said is the shiny object syndrome. I think I would not blame one person for this. We all go through it in some or the other way. It's, I think, just where we are as a society, because we are always kind of turned outward. As in, you're looking for all the solutions outward, you're looking for happiness outward, success outward. If you find, for an example, if you find, say, 10 minutes, how many people will literally sit still for that 10 minutes and just be with themselves? 9 out of 10 people would immediately pick up the phone and want to either make a to-do list or want to get something done. I'm just giving that example because most of us do that. Finding that inner power, finding that connection with yourself comes from making time for yourself. Don't fill up your day with to do endless to-do lists. Don't do that. That doesn't help. To start with, I don't know, make at least 20 minutes a day for yourself. 20 minutes, it does not mean no telly, no phone, 20 minutes for yourself to literally connect with yourself. I mean, when I say meditation, sometimes people feel a bit put off. Oh, I can't sit for 20 minutes cross legged. Meditation has nothing to do with sitting cross legged. Meditation is all about, rather than going outward, you are wanting to know yourself better and you're wanting to connect with yourself better. So, for example, if my 20 minutes would look like, say, I generally try and do it first thing in the day because, at that point, there's least that is drawing onto your attention or thoughts. So if you can't focus, start with the 5-5-5 technique, which is very simple. You can also use it if, just endless thoughts are running in your head. So you take a breath for 5, hold for 5, and then release for 5. Do that for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever you like. It sounds like a lot. It won't take more than 2 minutes of your time. So breath is the simplest way when you reconnect with yourself. It's like you are reminding yourself and you are going past the barrier, reconnecting with yourself. After that, if you can, just close your eyes, sitting still, try and refocus with, I don't know, here or here, whichever comes naturally to you, and then just focus, be there. Thoughts will still come. I'm not saying thoughts won't come. If the thoughts come, the simplest reminder, the visual that works for me is, so if there's a river in front of you, this river is all the thoughts, emotions, feelings, but you are outside of this river. You make a conscious decision of whether I jump in or whether I stay back. So you are the conscious observer who's making that decision. This really helps when I talked about reaction and response. That's what I'm saying. So something very triggering happened. Somebody said something I did not like. If I just jump in, you know what will happen. Whereas if I just take a pause and I respond rather than react, I think so. The self awareness, the realignment with yourself increases slowly on a day to day basis. And the most important guidance comes from within you, which I feel is more like intuition. Again, intuition has different connotations for different people. What I say is the deepest core of you. When you align, you will have the guidance. What is the next thing to do? So, being able to be still enough to listen to that guidance. Now, if you don't do that, even if you have that guidance, even if you just keep filling it up with some app on the mobile, some email you have to do, some to-do list you have to do, you have no time for yourself, you know? So that's what I would say. When you say reconnection with yourself, simplest thing, 20 minutes that you make time just for yourself. And reconnection will look different for different people. Some days it can look like making a gratitude list of just 5 things you're grateful for. So whenever there's a negative spiral you're going into, this is not going right and this is not going right. See, life is full of challenges. For different people, it might look different way. It's about what you focus on. You're not running away from the challenge. Yes, you are. But then like, feeling all sad and disheartened about is not going to give you any energy to face it, right? Whereas if you look at your at your proud list, wow, 5 years back this happened and I survived it. How many times it happens? You're faced by a challenge like, I'm never gonna make it. I am never gonna make it. And when you look at that proud list, you're like, I made it. So that is a proof. When self-doubt comes running, that is a proof to your mind. No, you have got this. You can make it. You have done this before. Even if this is a new challenge, you can make past it. So yeah, that's the best way I would say is like making time for yourself. So we talked about meditation, not the traditional way about how you can reconnect with yourself. And as I said, if you're feeling off course, if your mind is full of thoughts, doing the 5-5-5 for maybe a minute helps you be a bit more calm, settle down more, and maybe 5 minutes. If you can't do 20 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, the deepest core of you, whatever you believe in, soul, consciousness, higher self, spirit guides, angels, whatever you believe in, we are not here by accident. We are all here for a rhyme, a reason, a purpose. Trying to find what that meaning, that purpose in your life is I think the biggest gift you can give yourself.
How do we find that purpose? Because there have been a lot
Mm-hmm.
of argument on that, really.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, for example, the book by Viktor F. Frankl, A
Mm-hmm.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Mm-hmm.
That is an important book that I really enjoyed, no? And of course, a lot of people enjoyed it. Of course, those who know the life of Viktor F. Frankl now, being a Holocaust survivor, they will understand why such a conversation would even be important. Because Viktor F. Frankl was living in a situation where the only thing that was in front of you was only death, that you were going to die the next minute, the next day. But despite that, you were still having the time to sort of think and reflect. And, like you are saying, choosing what you want to focus on. Because you're not going to be able to change the world. The world is bigger than you. You live in a society, or let's say you live in a space. For you to live in a space, you need to live in a bigger space because you are a small object living in a space. So you cannot just turn the space upside down. It is bigger than you. It's like you are in a river. The river is a bigger thing than you. If you are in a car, the car is a bigger thing than you. So we need to look for a way to create the balance and make a meaning out of it. But how do we really do that? How do we begin to find this deeper meaning in ourselves please go on.
I'll give you a very simple question, which was the starting point for me. So if you're feeling completely fixed about what gives meaning or purpose to my life, just ask yourself a simple question. For me, I'm a pen and paper person. When you write, I don't know, something magical happens rather than just sitting and juggling with your thoughts. So ask yourself or write on paper, what is it that I would do that will give me real joy, even if I wasn't paid for it? Think about it. And
That is
this will
magic.
become, see, that's what I'm saying. Because, see, you have all the answers you need. The magic is asking the right question. Asking the right question. And, the magic, I truly, genuinely believe from every fiber of my being that we are all here to unleash the magic within. Literally, we are like this magical beings in this amazing vehicle we have taken, and it is not by chance. Now, think about it. You're this magical being. You're here to touch lives. You're here to transform lives. And this can look different for different people. For somebody, it's teaching small children and touching their lives. For somebody else, it might be like working in a tech firm, making some new innovation. For somebody else, it's just so different. And just imagine, so we already talked about comparison. I would really, really recommend this question. Very simple, very easy, and it gives you prompt answers. Yeah, literally prompt answers. What is it that brings me true joy? And if that doesn't bring anything up, think about what would I really love to do if nobody was paying me for it. But I'm just doing it for the joy of it. Start with that, and that you never go wrong. So find that thing and then find, I don't know, 30 minutes in your week for that. 30 minutes in your week, no matter how busy you are.
You must
If you're
find that.
yeah, we have all of us have time to be on social media, isn't it? Nothing wrong about social media, but just saying. So all I'm saying is start with that 30 minutes. So sometimes people tell me, "Oh, Ruchi, I'm so busy, I don't have time." I was like, yes, everybody has 30 minutes in a week. Sleep 30 minutes less, but make that. And then, you're shifting your energy from focus on this is not working for me, that is not working for me, this is not going right, I don't know where to go. Make an effort. Make an effort. And as I said, this question about what brings you joy, this only you can answer. What is it that you would really love to do without being, if you're not even being paid for it? Nobody else can answer this question. So this is what I mean when I say that the journey is inside out. And I mean, nowadays on YouTube, on like the whole reason I turned to podcast was when I was in a really low space. I have listened to podcast guest speakers, which used to just literally make my day. Like, if I'm with the fog, I'm like, yes, I've got this. I can do this. So that's when the opportunity came my way. I was like, yes, if I could be that person for somebody else, what could be brighter than that?
That's
So,
beautiful. That's beautiful. It is good if we really can find the reason why we are here. Because
yes.
I too do believe that there is a reason why we are here. It is not by accident.
Not
Yesterday, for example, day before yesterday, in our LinkedIn audio room where we talk about storytelling, but in this case, we're looking at how to use storytelling as healing for African diaspora. And then, of course, in the course of the conversation, one of the guests was saying something really very interesting that there have been more than I think 70 billion people in the world since the existence of mankind, but there have never been a mistake, which means every singular person that have existed, including those that exist here today, is a perfect specimen that nature can produce. You are not a mistake. You are not
that's
here by accident. Why are you here? That is the question that I think each of us need to find.
okay. See, you're not meant to be here to be sitting on a desk and chair 9 to 5, going ahead. Nothing wrong with that. But see, till the time you find a meaning and purpose to it, why you are doing what you're doing. Because you can be busy all day. Yes, you need to pay the bills. I get that. But the problem is, if you do not find that, when people say depression, I'm not feeling good, all the thoughts are going downhill. There are people who have everything possibly outwardly. But again, when that connection is not there, no matter you're rich, you're poor, if you don't have that meaning and purpose in your life, sooner or later, that emptiness comes in. For me, it was the same. I think so. Before I had my son, for a little while, this was a good 1 year period where I realized I was this absolutely crazy busy medical doctor. And I realized I'm only living for the weekends. Like, I just wait for the weekend to come. And at that point, so there are two types of people. One is who work in jobs, and one is who have their own business. There's no other way. So I just know I want more, and I'm feeling this emptiness in my life. Like, I have this just think like, my intuitive guidance, or is like something is kind of pushing. It's like, Ruchi, you've got so much more to offer. But my surface is like, I don't know what to do. I just don't know. So with my son coming along, I took almost 18 months off, like my job. So you have time to step back. I had time to reconnect with myself. This did not happen overnight at all. I mean, it was a day by day, day by day, day by. Whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, there's only one way out of it. What is the next small step that I can take? Now, the person I am today, my son is almost 3 years old. So if 3 years back, I'm thinking, I want to be this, but I'm going to jump the staircase from that person to this person. That doesn't happen. So yes, I feel absolutely overwhelmed. In all these last 3 years, there have been days where I'm sitting like, I don't know what to do. I still remember there was a client. This is more than 2.5 years back. So I've just completed my therapeutic training and everything. And somebody contacted me that I would like to have a session with you. You know what? I was just sitting stumped for like a few minutes. I was like, now what do I do? I don't know what to do. Yes, I've been there. So what I'm saying is, it is all part of the learning process. If again, another thing that is really magical that I've learned, and it I really want to say it out loud, is we live in a culture which is completely focused on outcomes, on reaching there, but the magic is in the journey. The magic is in the journey, because the journey is what making you grow. If, for example, 3 years back, without all of this journey, I was this person, there was no joy to it. It's the person I became with the journey I grew. That's so. If you believe in souls, say you are here to learn, grow, progress. You're here to progress. Again, I mean, I come from a household where success, academic success, was everything. So what I have learned now is life is about learning and growth. Life is not about success or failure. And then that means that success is also, you step, you learn. Failure, what can I learn from it? Failure does not mean that that's it, I can't go ahead. There's always something you can learn from that. So these two things, like, it is not only about the destination. The magic lies in the journey, how you grow, progress, evolve. And the second thing, as I said, you need to embrace who you are, the true you, being authentically and unapologetically you, not somebody else's idea of you, not somebody else's version of who you need to be, because that's never going to bring you joy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is something that I often say, kind of analogy that I often say with my guests, Of course, when we talk of this idea of being yourself, of discovering who you really are, that I usually say that each of us is a unicorn. Each of us is the original. There is no way you can become the best of another person. The very best you can become of another person is the best fake. Why would you want to be a fake?
No.
Whereas you are you. You are
Yes.
a full copy. You are the whole process.
Yes.
You are the whole. There is nothing missing. I want to repeat again. Of the billions of people that nature have
I
produced,
love that. Yes.
there have never been a mistake.
No, I just love that. I'm going to write it down because it's so insightful. No, it's amazing. And like, the way it's put, yeah, no, I just love it.
All right, thank you for that. Now, I would like you to say something about the rapid transformation, and
Yes.
of course, before you go there, I'd like to just say something related to what you were saying before, in that we should be interested in the journey, not just in the result, but in the journey. So I was saying this to a guest a couple of days ago, that in 2022, I think, I set a goal for myself that I was going to I'm going to publish 500 articles in the year. That was a lot of work, I know. Of course, I didn't write all the whole article. I have to pay some people to write for me. So, of course, it's a business. That is how it works. So then I was saying to this guest, now imagine that I'm going to do this work in 365 days. Now, the only time I'm going to be happy about this job is when it is done. That means I'm going to be happy only one time. That means I'm going to be miserable. How can I live that kind of life? Instead, I should be happy when I've read the first one of the 500 article. When I've written 5, I should be happy.
Yes.
When I write 10, I should be happy. When it becomes 20, in this way, I will be happy throughout the year.
Celebrating every milestone, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So if you thought, when I'm going to reach that 500, then I'm going to be happy. As you rightly said, it's going to be miserable, right? And that's what we do. Like, this was me. This was true copy me. So if I've decided something, no, you do this? No, not good enough. Not good enough. Only when you achieve this, then I'll be happy. I would really want to come back to when I think you just mentioned about, being the truest and highest version of yourself. So when we look up to people, like, I really, really look up to Oprah, and, it would be my dream So she does this Super Soul Sunday. I would love to be a guest in there. And I just believe that's gonna.
It's a possibility one day.
So what I would like to say is, if I became a fake of her, or somebody else I look up to, or Marissa Peer, who is the pioneer, whose 30 years of experience is what gave rise to rapid transformational therapy. We look up to people because they are the truest and highest version of themselves. So we aligning with who we are and becoming the truest and highest version of ourselves is what we are looking to become, rather than, but I mean, you can't become a fake copy of somebody else. That's not authenticity, and that's not doing justice to the unique talents, unique magic that you carry.
Thank you so much for pointing out that is really very important.
But I just came back to it because I thought I'll completely forget it if I don't mention it right now.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's interesting.
Thank you.
All right. So as we move into the question, the rapid transformation, I would like you to sort of explain that to the people, how that work.
How does that work? Okay. So rapid transformational therapy, in a summary, I would say, is about, if you had a visual where this is you, the unique diamond that you are, you came into this world with all the self-confidence, all the self-belief, all the self-esteem, you have it all there. That is what I tell all my clients. I'm not giving you anything, you already have it. But then as you grew up, so till the time you are 5 years old, till 5 years old, we are like in a constant state of hypnosis. We are absorbing everything around us, all the limiting beliefs of the carers around us, everything. And till that time, you don't have the logic that, oh, they are human beings, they have their own flaws. No, you just take in. And then you're forming a worldview. Yeah. So your worldview is like you're wearing these colored glasses, which is going to be completely different from somebody else. And that dictates how you look at life. Yeah. When you're about 5 years old, that's when the conscious mind kicks in. Yeah. In your life, 95% plus decisions are dictated by the subconscious, which was made its worldview by the time you were 5 years old, and only 5% from the conscious mind. So that, I think, paints a very clear picture when we say, I want to do this. So this was me, yes, I want to go and, speak my truth and be there. But I can't press play on the desktop, leave apart a live audience, because I'm so worried and I'm feeling anxious. And what will people think? So can I get rid of it just by talking about it? No, not really. So rapid transformational therapy is basically about helping guide the people I'm helping with move from the conscious mind with relaxing hypnosis to the subconscious mind, which is where the subconscious blocks and limiting beliefs are that are holding them back from who they want to be. It could be weight loss, it could be anxiety, it could be, I normally niche because that was my own struggle, self-confidence, self-esteem. So generally that's what I attract. So people who suffer with low self-confidence, low self-esteem, getting to that subconscious block, finding it. Then I've got 16 different RTT tools, depending on how the session goes, going back to the scenes, aligning with what that block is, finding it, reframing it. And normally people have that aha moment, like, okay, so this is a belief. Let me give you a very clear example to kind of make sense of what I'm talking. I did a session with a 60-year-old lady. She's a successful ITO nurse, very good at what she does. Unfortunately, it doesn't bring her joy, but in the world's eye, she's very successful. In the session, she went back to a scene where she was 4 years old, which is where she formed a belief, which is holding her back now at 60 years of age. So this is what I mean when I talk about the power of the subconscious over you, right? So she can go, yes, I love affirmations. But the thing is, if you just keep doing the affirmations, but you don't go to the subconscious block that is holding you back and don't tackle with it, you won't be able to get yourself free of it. It's like your diamond will always be covered with that layer, always covering you. So RTT, rapid transformational therapy, is about getting rid of the subconscious block, the limiting belief that is holding you back, and letting you be you, align with who you are, right? And as I said, this looks completely different for different people. For me, it was being a speaker, being an author, being a therapist. For somebody else, it could be losing weight, not having anxiety, aligning with their self belief, getting rid of self doubt. Different things for different people. But if I were to go into a session, normally it's about 1 to 3 sessions, because obviously different people come with different issues. So 1 to 3 sessions is what we are looking into. In one session, we use about 3 to 4 tools. After every session, I make a bespoke transformation recording for after that session, which is only 15 minutes long. But we want neuroplasticity to kick in. That means your conscious mind is tenacious. It will come back with its original ways. So with this 15-minute recording that I make for you after the 2-hour session, after you've had your breakthrough, we have found that subconscious block. We have been able to reframe it, use the tools in. You listen to this recording for 21 days, the 3-week period where neuroplasticity kicks in. And only after that, I'll go to anything else that is holding them back. For example, recently we worked with self-esteem majorly, but in the second issue with my client, I will go with her to eczema that is she's suffering from. And in the third session, it might be something else. A whole lot of times, different things come up in the same session, which might be deeper layers. But in general, I would like to focus on one particular, the most important block that is holding them back at that point. And then it will ready you for possibly the next one. There are things that can be dealt with just one issue as well, one session as well. And there are things that need maybe 2 to 3 sessions.
That's great. That's great. I can feel that your your client they are enjoying the moment. Of course, at the end, they are enjoying the transformation at the end of the day. And of course, we are all always transforming. We are not the same people we were yesterday, and we are not going to be the same we are tomorrow. But this can also actually be very explained in a simple terms. In that, look at how you have a child, a son now of 3 years. Now imagine when that son was born, 2-3 days, 5 days. The clothes that you wear him. You can't wear him that clothes today. For the fact that baby, that human being, have transformed. He cannot enter those clothes anymore. Now, if you take a picture, last week we went to do ID card for my son, national ID card here in Italy. And of course, the law say, you continue to do it until the child grow a bit old, which is normal. Of course, for adult, you also continue to renew your ID card, not for the purpose of the biometric, but for the image, because you are continuously transforming. Now, the image of my son when he was 1 or 2 years old, and his image now that he is 6 years old, is different.
Of course.
Now, by the time he gets to my age, he's also going to become a completely different human being. Because all the cells in the body are transforming. Your face is transforming. Your eyes is transforming. You look at yourself when you were small. You look at yourself by the time you become 80, 70. You are not exactly the same thing. You have transformed.
True.
So,
No, I think in the whole thing, I forgot to mention the power of self-forgiveness and self-compassion. Yeah. I mean, it's so important because I was this person holding myself in kind of a cage. I'll tell you what. So see, we make decisions when we grow up. So if I took a decision as a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old, being able to understand now that at that point, I took that decision with the understanding and wisdom I had as a 13, 14, 15-year-old. Now, as a 38-year-old, I cannot hold that, oh, you did this, you shouldn't have done that. So that is where self-compassion comes into play, self-compassion and self-forgiveness, where you're like, you are able to forgive yourself as well. And I think that is one of the biggest, when we do the RTT sessions, that is one of the biggest hurdle towards self-love and self-acceptance, because it's like you're holding yourself captive with, I don't know, some decision, something. Everybody makes mistakes, When we say mistake, it's always a learning curve, but you might look at it as a mistake. So you learn from it, you grew, and then you need to let it go. But the problem is this letting go is very important. I mean, in the sessions, things come up. This happened 30 years back. And then Let me tell you. So this is not somebody, one of my clients. This is a woman. She was about 7 years old when her brother arrived. Her parents wanted a son in the first place, but obviously that wasn't the case. So when her son, she had difficult experiences and things. So what happens is she goes out to sleep thinking, "Oh, tomorrow I really wish my brother doesn't wake up." Guess what happened? This is a thought from a, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 year old child. Next day, there's a crib death. The brother actually doesn't wake up. She is suffering from insomnia, chronic insomnia, like she just cannot sleep at night for 30 years, or I don't know, something like that. I mean, so like, it's like even and the problem is your subconscious does not feel that that was a thought process of a 5 year old child. You did not really mean it. You did not really want it. This is extreme, but what I'm trying to say is we don't, I think the way we talk to ourselves, if we talk to our friends, we won't have any friends for most people. The way we are so critical of ourselves, like, you did this, you shouldn't have done that, you won't have any friends. So whenever you're being critical of yourself, remind yourself, how will I talk to my best friend if this happened? And I think you can soften things a bit. And as I said, these things do not change overnight, but it's like you work from both conscious and subconscious angles. And yes, I also do guided meditations as well, which I provide along with the packages. So which, the clients can listen as and when. So I've got self-belief and self-love guided meditation. This does not, of course, replace the RTT session. It works alongside. And, I would really do a deep relaxation session with somebody who are really worried. How am I going to be hypnotized? There's this worry about what hypnosis is. Hypnosis is nothing. It is just about being able to be so relaxed that we can move from your conscious to your subconscious mind to help you be the best version of yourself. That's it. That is all hypnosis is. I cannot control you. I cannot make you do anything. I mean, you decide what you say or do not say into the session as well. Because sometimes this is a bigger block when we go through the discovery call, people thinking, what's going to happen? Nothing. Best version is going to come out. That's all.
All right. All right. Let's look a bit about this subconscious, this machine that we have. We have a lot of statistics and stories saying that the subconscious actually is about 90% of our reality, and only 10% is what is actually based on the conscious mind.
True.
Which is, of course, is the example of the iceberg. Because when you are seeing the iceberg, if you look at Titanic, for example, what you are seeing that the Titanic actually go to hit is not the one on the surface. The one on the surface will not do anything because it's just a small one. But the one inside, the one deep below, is where the power is where the energy is.
Okay.
Now, we are looking at in fact, I do remember, I think one of my books, the one that titled Find Your Life Purpose in 6 days. I was saying that the subconscious mind is a kind of a database that is accessible to you, but you need to access it. I was saying, now, imagine the antelope. I will give an analogy. Imagine an antelope who is going to the river to drink water. Now, the antelope see a lion nearby, which is between the river, the water, and himself, there is the lion. Now, I said, let's freeze time and let's examine what has happened or what is about to happen or what can possibly happen. Now, the antelope is going to make a decision. Like, should I go to the river and drink? Okay, now the antelope also going to answer the question, but this is a lion. What can lion do to me? The antelope is also going to add another question again. But how far away is a lion to the river in relationship to me? Because this is going to respond to the question of whether the antelope is going to be able to go take the water and then run away, or just abandon the water because the lion is going to catch up on him. Now I say all these are decisions that are going to be made in a fraction of a second. Then I say, okay, but where is the antelope getting this information? It's tapping into the record that have been existing for all the antelope that have been eaten by the lion. Therefore, the antelope know what can happen. It's not guessing.
Yeah.
I said, us like human beings too, we do have a record of everything that have happened in this world. But sometimes we don't tap into it. Now I said, this is how we know it. Because it's like the river, is a flow of the river. The river flow never cut. It's a continuous flow. It's a cycle from the beginning to the end. It never, the river does it. It's like the flow of the current, no? You don't have two wire. One is this distant, the other one is this distant. Then the current, the electron are communicating. No, it must continue. The flow is a continuous process. So we also have this continuous process because we come into this world through a fusion of energy, the masculine and the feminine energy. That is how we come into this world. It is not it's not an approximation. There is really this continuous flow of energy that make us to be here where we are. So in that energy, there is a record of everything that has happened to us, which is the subconscious. Since the time that our ancestors have been in the savannah, till the time we are today, the record have never been broken. Now, how do we tap into that record? Because we can tap into it for our own good, but we can also let it ruin us. Because I was saying also in that book that now, you could choose to live a natural life, which is a good thing if you want to. But what is a natural life? A natural life would mean that you live your life in autopilot. But your mind know what life is. It doesn't really care whether you want to do this or do that. It just wants you to be alive. That is all the program is. The program doesn't go beyond that.
True.
But it's going to do everything to make sure that you are alive. But as a human being now, you want to do more than just being alive. You have a dream. You want to travel. That has nothing to do with the natural programming of life.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please
there?
go.
So when you say that, I think you painted such a beautiful picture. And what I would say is the mind loves the familiar and it does not like the unfamiliar, because what the mind wants to do is make sure that you survive. Now, as you said, with the whole subconscious memory. So say one of our ancestors was running away. If they saw danger, the mind has to say, you need to survive, you need to run. But now, if I'm standing on the stage, needing to give a talk, most speakers would say to start with, there's a knot in the stomach, or they're worried, or they're feeling anxious. What is it? It's the same thing. The mind is creating the fight or flight. I'll give you an example of, that's what I could immediately think of when you talked about the whole subconscious. So yes, that is the memory. But the problem is there's no tiger or lion running behind me, but the mind still feels, oh my God. So the same reaction. So I'll tell you, I was given this first opportunity. Now, this is not so long back. This is October 2023. So in the medical school that I studied, I was given this opportunity to come and be on stage and give the talk. I said yes. There wasn't a huge time interval where I could decide. Then one day before, I was freaking out. I was like, yes, I've done podcasts and things, but every time I'm in front of a computer, I've never been in front of a live audience. One day before, I was going to back out. And then what I did was, no, this is an opportunity that is aligned with what I want. This is an opportunity where there would be 200 medical students where I can help them align, grow closer to who they are, align with themselves. No, I need to go for it. Now, how do I get out of my own mind? So I stood in front of the mirror and I told myself, magic happens at the end of your comfort zone. So I kept looking at myself. Magic happens at the end of your comfort zone. You're not backing out of it. Magic happens. Saying all of that, again, I am just going up the stairs to actually be on the stage. My legs are jelly. They won't go up to take the next step. I'm feeling very anxious, okay? So I told my mind, I'm feeling really excited. Wow, I love this. I'm feeling so excited.
Reframe.
I don't know, it got confused or whatever, it worked for me. See, when you're very excited and when you're feeling very anxious, I don't think physically you feel very different. Think about it. and you're feeling very anxious, you're knots in your stomach, you're worried, and you're feeling tingly. And when you are very nervous, it's the same. So, and okay, fine, I went on that. I think the magical moment for me was, when I went into the flow of the talk, that was it. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Like, when you touch something very deep inside of you, you're like, wow, this is what I meant to do. That doesn't mean there's nothing else in life. But that moment, I did not want that moment to end. Like, few moments in life where the time stops. I'm like, that's it. And so now, when these other opportunities came along, did the worry or anxiety not come in? Yes, it did. But that you choose, your mind is always going to try to keep you safe. How do you convince your mind? I am safe. I'm not going to die. What is the best way that's going to work with? Trust me, I actually thought I'm going to die. And even if about, say, 1.5 years back, somebody told me, Beyonce, I would say, I would rather die than do that. And I'm not exaggerating. You can ask my best friend. I'm not exaggerating at all. So trust me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I am the most shy, the most introverted kid you will ever meet. Like, keep me away from people. That's no, not me. So, all of these fears, limiting beliefs, all of this is like luggage that we collected. So you came in with all the I mean, have you ever met a young child, a 1-year-old child, 2-year-old child? Their nose might be running, their nappy might be falling off. Do they ever say, "Don't look at me. I'm not looking good enough"? We come with all the self love, all the self acceptance. It's all this, like, smothering beliefs that we start carrying at luggages to start with, and then we feel that is us. But that's not us. That's really not us. So just getting rid of that, just get rid of it to finally not let it smother your shine anymore. And, let your inner light shine bright. I think that sounds like the most aligned statement for me. We are here to let our inner light shine bright, and RTT is the way, means, and tool to get rid of all the subconscious blocks, limiting beliefs that are really dimming your shine.
Thank you so
Align
much.
with your core. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I would like you to say a little bit more when you were talking about the fact that sometimes our mind do not know the difference between um, what is actually the real danger and
Mhm.
what is the perceived danger. Because our mind, like I was saying, is tapping into the subconscious, is
True.
imagining that there is danger because we have evolved in a very chaotic situation where animals basically eat up other animals. That is where we came from.
I mean, see, if not more than 100 years back, even less than that, we sitting in a cubicle and you fearing a presentation you're gonna make as much as you would fear a wild animal. Like, we haven't evolved to being in this. What is depression? Most of depression is like you're away from nature. You're not having enough time. You're just sitting in front of the computer for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. So you're not having time to reconnect with yourself. And sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that just please go on.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. It's good. It's good. It mean we are flowing. We are naturally flowing. And that is the way it's supposed to be. That is cool. I like that. So I would say that how could we maybe tap more into our subconscious and use it for ourselves? Because now, if we don't, the mind is going to run autopilot, and autopilot is going to. You see that you are going to talk to somebody is somebody that you have not met before. Imagine that person is going to be an elephant that is going to consume you, a lion, a tiger.
I'm,
Because,
I'm gonna say something
yeah,
there.
please
So
go.
I'm a very visual person, and these visuals come. I would love to share. So when people say subconscious, there's a very negative connotation about only about subconscious blocks and things. That's not true. Think of subconscious like this beautiful garden, okay? So from the point of time you chose to be here, like, you've had beautiful experiences as well. So subconscious is like literally registering every single experience. There's a whole lot. So this is think of it as a garden with so many beautiful roses, shining diamonds, but there are a few weeds. And these weeds have grown really tall and they are like smothering you. So the time is to keep your garden beautiful and get rid of all these weeds. So subconscious is a beautiful place. I somehow feel whenever, like, I talk about it, or somebody I think was talking about it to me. There was this like, oh, subconscious holds this. No, subconscious is a beautiful place. It is where you learn to talk, walk. You have all these beautiful memories about family, kids, children, how you had your first friend, how a whole lot of things. The only thing is, we are getting rid of the subconscious blocks by uprooting these little weeds that we collected as luggage from our caregivers, or maybe some not so nice experiences that we had. I mean, everybody's childhood is different. Some people might have more of them, some people might have less of them. So more weeds in your garden, less weeds in your garden, whatever it is, you uproot them, and that's it. There you are.
Thank you so much for that. That's actually where I was going. How we are going to be able to use the subconscious for our good instead of maybe letting it run on in autopilot. So now, what would be some of the recommendation that you will give to people to be able to approach? Because we're talking about finding your inner power. Because the subconscious, like you said, I use another word for it in the description, that it is a neutral force. It is not good or bad. It's like when you say electricity. Electricity is not good or bad. In fact, most of the things in nature are neutral. Like water. Water is neutral. Water is not good or bad.
Yeah.
But water can kill you if you don't take care. You see, the salt that we put in the food that make it very sweet is actually poison. If you take too much of salt, you will die almost instantly. You like just pour salt or water and drink it, your liver is going to cut. But if you don't put salt in your food, you don't like it. So it is not salt that is bad. It is you, the way you use it. You see, the knife that you use to cut fish that you like, you can also use it to cut yourself.
Yeah.
It is not the problem of the knife.
Yeah.
It is your problem. So the subconscious, like you were saying, I don't like it. It's like a garden. It keep a record. It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
Because it's a neutral, it just keep a record. It's up to you. What do you want to do with it? So help us to understand, how do we use the subconscious to our own good? Because we are the one that have a destination. We are the one that decided, I want to travel to England. I want to go to the US. Your subconscious is not interested, but it have all the record that can help you to get there.
See, when I see subconscious is like this beautiful garden, so think of it like, from the point of time we came, it has got all of these memories that you have, like, all of these experiences, all of these memories. So whenever you are in a difficult situation, you can tap in to a memory that you have done before, that you have already overcome that challenge in some other form. It doesn't have to be exactly the same one. Like, for example, I just simplistically speaking, sorry about that. I can remember myself. Now, when you talk about tapping, so I was in class 7, and there was this storytelling competition. So, talking about
We love storytelling here.
yes, and so my father said that, you know what, Ruchi, if I write the story, you're gonna get the first prize. And I said, no, I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna be there saying it out loud in the assembly, and I'm going to get the prize. So this is me as a 11-year-old, and I did that. So I did it. I wrote the story without his help. But I did not get the first prize. I got the second one. So I came back, and he's like, yeah. So cutting this long story short, what I'm saying is, so now when I struggle, oh my God, how I'm going to do it? Well, I've done it before. I might not consciously remember it, but when we talk of self-love and self-belief, I had the belief that, no, you don't need to write it. I'm going to write it, and I'm going to do it. So I still have that self-belief. What I say with the subconscious is, we all, each and every individual, somehow as a kid, I used to feel, oh, that other person is so much more confident than me. That's not true. It's how much you tap into your own subconscious. How much are you in connection with yourself, and how much have you let the opinions of others or subconscious blocks or beliefs cover that up? I think that is the only difference when we meet people who love themselves or who don't love themselves, who have self-confidence issues or who don't have self-confidence issues. So it's just that. I mean, yes, your unique strengths might differ from person to person, but self love, self acceptance, self belief, self confidence, these things, every single child is born with it. So, I mean, if I had this problem, I always felt that person is so much more confident than, and I think a whole lot of introverts struggle with that a bit. But that's not true. Being introverted, extroverted, yes, that might be your nature preference, but that does not stop you from choosing or being or doing anything you choose to do.
And when it comes to the idea of the day, which is finding your inner power, all of us have our inner power. Every single one of us. I want to repeat again that the nature do not make mistake.
No.
One person said in my podcast here that when the gods send a blind man to the war, to the battle, the blind man is supposed to win as the blind men do. Which means even as a blind man, the fact that you are going to win is already part of the package. But you are not going to win as the people that can see you win. You are going to win as the blind men do. So what you should ask yourself is, who are you in this battle?
See, simplistically speaking, with the world we live in, everything is kind of meant for you to be outwardly turned. Yeah. All the time. Television series, Netflix, phone, apps, everything. Whereas your inner power, how can you access inner power, your true strength? How can you access it if you're not even going inside to look for it? If you're constantly outwardly turned? So that's why I said, making time to reconnect with yourself is paramount. And again, there are days when I'm struggling, I can't meditate. Just journaling helps, simple journaling. So whatever is churning in your head, maybe for 5 minutes, you write it out on paper. We don't keep trash in our house, right? We clean our houses. So similarly, we don't keep unresolved emotions. We don't keep, unresolved thoughts churning around in your head. Get it out on paper. I think I love to call it expressive writing. It's like you're not thinking or what am I supposed to write? It's like everything in there, get it out on paper. You won't believe how cathartic it is. You have that niggly thought constantly, going on in your head. Get it out on paper. You can just throw that paper away or keep it aside. It's such a relief. It's so simple, isn't it? And I genuinely talk about it in the lives I do. These things actually should be taught in school. No, seriously, tell me, we are taught history and geography and maths and languages. Were you taught emotional regulation? Were you taught how to face failure in life? Were you taught, if things don't go, everybody is going to face failure at some point in life. Who taught you how to face failure? Who taught you how to just regulate yourself? We just fiddle around it, isn't it? I mean, I don't know where I read it, but it said every single person you meet in general has the emotional maturity when it comes to responding in a difficult situation, when you're completely stressed between the ages of 8 to 12. It was kind of relieving and distressing at the same time. It's just like, as if you were never really taught how to emotionally regulate yourself. And that's such an important skill, no matter what we choose to do. If you're a human being and if you deal with another human being, you need it to have healthy relationships in your life.
I think that is where probably our civilization is moving towards, because now with the use of AI, with the possibility of able to create a lot of content and being able to interact with people, because I think the world is moving towards, unlike what many people think that the world is moving towards a dangerous place, I think we are moving towards a better place. I think we are going to get better, because now we are going to learn how to interact better. Of course, everything that have happened in human history, all the things that we have created have been tools. So the tools that we have today, AI, you call it ChatGPT or the rest of them, this is not the last that we will create. This is some of the beginning that we will create. We have a lot to do yet. But we are going to enter, the mind, they say, is the next frontier. And is the least that we know how it functions, but is the most important part of the universe. Because it is in our mind that we first imagine that we will build a car. Because car is not its nature. The car that we drive is not in nature. If you needed to drive to move from one place to the other,
Mhm.
you will have to literally walk.
Mhm.
Or by the time we started to figure out things, you will put something, a piece of wood into the water, and the water will transport you.
Mhm.
You see, we have been more coming from a very far distance.
But this is the power of thoughts, isn't it? So everything that was created physically was first created in thought, isn't it?
First in our mind. That
Without
that
that,
that we
none
will
of the-
that we will fly in the air, for example, because this thing we couldn't see the picture. How could you tell somebody that human being will be flying in the air like the
yeah,
birds?
yeah. I think all the sci-fi fiction that we see, it's just reality unmanifested. We are gonna have it at some point, isn't it? I mean, literally, just 10 years back, 15 years back, if somebody told you could have a phone in your hand and you could FaceTime with my mom who lives, well, on the other side of the planet anytime, who would believe that? So, yeah, literally simple things. Now, literally, me and you speaking here would it have been so much easier, say 20 years back? Yeah. I mean, the way we are connected right now, you put a button and you can connect with anybody in the world. So, I mean, the world is beautiful. I would say, as an empath, in the last 20 to 30, 20 years of my life, I never watched the news. Okay, I just tell my husband if there's something very drastic that happens, let me know, so that if somebody says I'm not like completely oblivious. I'll tell you why. Because I always felt that, like, they are sharing like a partial view of what's happening. Like, the way news comes, this is falling apart, this is falling apart, this is falling apart. If that's the truth, if that's the only truth, then you and me won't be alive, right? That's how I always felt. And again, it makes me feel very helpless. It's like, oh my God, this person needs help, and I can't do anything. Why should I watch it and not being able to do anything about it? What am I getting from it?
That is part of the programming now. In
Yeah.
that the fear,
Mhm.
okay, fear also, like we were saying before, is part of us in evolving. But we can either elevate that fear or diminish it. But
Mhm.
now, the human society is very complex. We have
Mhm.
those who want to control other. They understand that we are very malleable sometimes. And when we
Mhm.
are striked with fear, we respond, oh, the world is about to perish. The third world war is coming. Hey,
But
pay
but
attention.
but I always felt that there was a recent research I read which said, like, if they give positive news in a newspaper or in the news, the TRPs drop. People don't want to read it. Whereas when they give you alarming news in the world, so what is social media or news people? They are a part of society, isn't it? So somehow, as a society, as you said, people want to be like, oh, what is there to fear? You don't want to see happy news. So yeah, that is something I separated from a very long while back because it doesn't make sense to me. And we not only consume what we eat and drink, everything you hear and you see is also that you're consuming. So I think you need to be vigilant about what that is. If you hear negative stuff day in and day out, it's unlikely you're going to think very positively. Very difficult, isn't it?
Absolutely. Jim
Yeah.
Rohn, the American motivational speaker, said you need to stand guard on the entrance to your brain.
True.
Stand guard, because the information that you receive are going to condition you. There is nothing you can do about that. The best thing, don't receive it.
Yeah, yeah. You have to
Because
be very vigilant. Like, this is your miraculous machine. Like, we have all chosen this miraculous vehicle who is meant to do with these unique things. Now you decide, am I going to put quality stuff in it or am I going to put garbage? So that's your choice, that each of us makes really.
thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. It'll be really very interesting. Of course, we'll come back again here to this conversation because that is what we do here. We just share and we'll talk about us and about what we do. All right. Now, people that are listening to you, they want to connect with you. Share with them. How can they reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me is you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I am quite happy to send my Linktree link as well. So Linktree is quite good. It has all the links and everything is in one place. You can click onto the discovery call button and we can get onto a 30-minute no obligation discovery call, which is more about trying to understand what is holding you back and how can I help you get rid of that block, that limiting belief, and align you with your deepest core, your true shine. Let it shine bright.
Thank you so much for that. Now we'll talk about something very important today, which is about self-belief and finding your inner power. These are important conversations to have today, particularly today in our time with everything that is going on in the world. Now, what would be your final thought here? Considering this, maybe there is something you wanted to say, or just a final message relating to this. Please go ahead and do that.
Self-belief and finding your inner power. I think, again, just to summarize everything, we talked a whole lot of things, but I think I always feel that when you're listening to something, it's like, oh, wow, this was good, that was good. But you need to have something. What can I do? What is the next step that I can take today that, that helped me move further, closer to myself in my journey? So when I say self-belief, again, self-belief is self-love and self-acceptance. Biggest blocks to self-acceptance are we not forgiving ourselves for. So today, if you feel there's any decision that you took 5 years back, 10 years back, 20 years back, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Be compassionate to yourself. You did that with the understanding you had as that person. Now you have grown, you have got more wisdom, self-love, self-compassion, making time for yourself. It could be, as I said, as little as 20 minutes a day. We talked about the self-love mirror exercise. Try and do that every single day. It does not take more than 2 minutes of your time. And previously, I used to do only the self-love mirror exercise. I have added to it something. If you have 2 more minutes with yourself, you can. I would really, really recommend doing that. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, looking in your eye, you say, I love you truly, deeply, and unconditionally. I love and accept all parts of you. And say it like you mean it, saying it to like your child, your partner, somebody you truly love. Say it with the deepest core, the, real genuineness in there. Second thing you can say is, I am proud of you because, and you come up with 7 reasons. So I do that every single day, promise. And literally every single day without a miss. I am proud of you because, I'm proud of you, Ruchi, because, and I'll say 1, 2, 3, 7 things. It could be simple things. Like yesterday, I made morning time for my yoga. So Ruchi, I'm so proud of you. You made time for your yoga. Small challenges, big challenges. Then I say, Ruchi, I forgive you for 7 things. Ruchi, I commit to make time for meditation. I commit to listening to my hypnosis audio every single day. I commit to whatever that is. Doing that, so you can add that. So remember, self-love mirror exercise, making your proud list, making time for yourself. If you're feeling worried, if you are not sure what the next step is, you are in complete overwhelm because like, I need to do this, and this. Simple. What is the next small step? This was a game changer for me because I was the queen of overwhelm. I'll make like 100-meter list, to-do list, and then I'm like, oh, what do I do now? So yeah, if that's you, because yes, that was very much me. What is the next small step that I can take? So if you're going onto a car journey, you're driving through, the car lights guide you to some extent, and then the car moves, and then it guides you further. And that's how you go from A to B. So it's the same way in your life's unfolding journey. Please do not give up to overwhelm, taking the next small step. Reminding yourself, life is not about success or failure. Life is about learning and growth. Whenever you're comparing yourself to somebody else, remind yourself to compare yourself to just one person, which is yourself. That is your only comparison, right? So we talked about proud list, self-love mirror exercise, comparing yourself only to yourself. And one more thing, oh, I can't meditate, I'm completely lost in my head. 555. 555 is deep breathe for 5, hold for 5, release for 5. You can do it anywhere, literally anywhere. You're sitting in a traffic jam, you can do it. It helps you reconnect with yourself instantaneously. And I would also like to mention, I'm coming up with this new program very soon, which is called the Inner Power Access. It is open to everyone, but it is mainly targeted towards speakers and authors. And with the end of it, there's a bonus where you would be able to write your own book within a span of 2 weeks with, of course, help. And I really look forward, if you are a speaker, if you're an author, if you are wanting to make that dream come true, if you're an author, you're like, I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to go on stage. I have got so much to share, but there's so much holding me back. Well, then, here we are. We can work past it. And you are here to be yourself, to align with your unique self. And as I said, you are your biggest asset. Bringing the truest core of you to the world is the biggest gift you can give to yourself or somebody else in your personal life, in your professional life, or any single person you meet. One last thing, where you mentioned about interaction. So when it comes to interaction, like, if I was like my older self with a whole lot of guard in front of me, because I'm so scared of the world seeing me, you cannot have an authentic conversation or a relationship. And, please give people the time to actually be able to see you. If you put so many guards up, what will people think? What will happen? People will be delighted to meet you if you just let the guard of what will people think come down.
Thank you so much for that. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. It's like we continuously sabotage ourselves because we are over criticizing ourselves, forgetting that we are in a journey, that this is a journey.
Yes.
No.
Getting out of your own way. Getting out of your own way. Sometimes it's nobody else but you. So get out of your own way, and the world will be a much happier place. Think of a world where every single person is aligned to what brings joy to them. They find true joy and fulfillment in in every single day. The world will be a kinder place, loving place, gentle place. Possibly crime will come down. I mean, such a happy, fulfilled person is not going to like, who can I hurt? I mean, you're not going to think of that. So yeah, that's what I feel.
That's so true. That's so true. And it's also important for people to understand that they are the perfect specimen that there is. There is no need comparing
Yes.
yourself to the other
This
people.
perfect specimen is just covered in a few layers, and that's where I come to the rescue, so that I'm not giving you anything. I really, 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 really want to help peel off those layers so that you are you, and you can just let the whole world see the shining diamond that you are.
Absolutely. That is so beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much, Ruchi. I appreciate the conversation. I really do.
Thank you so much for having me again. It has been such a pleasure meeting you again.
Thank you.